Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So thus in this Drg-Dryshya Viveka text, or that which is also called as Vakya Sudha. So in this text we have been studying that how do we reverse the effect of Avarana Shakti. That component of Maya Shakti which is responsible for bringing about delusion in us, moha in us. We have studied what is the nature of delusion, how exactly this delusion is brought about. So the only thing which happens over here is it veils the difference between two very, very clearly different things. And here we are. Even though on one hand there is something as unique as light, and on the other hand something as unique as darkness. And we have got confused between light and darkness. So on one hand there is something which is changeless, on the other hand there is something which is continuously changing, on one hand there is something which is of the nature of light, consciousness, it's a revealer and everything is revealed. Yet just because, we do not know the ignorance, therefore the dharma of that which is seen becomes the me. That's the simple problem. Down below all the various upheavals and griefs of life, only this much problem is there. And in case if we can address this problem, so the teacher assures us, the scriptures assure us, that there won't be any problem in my life. I won't be eternally seeking something or the other. Once you are on a seeking trip, something which you get, the possibility of complacency is there. You have the sense of achievement, you become the achiever, there is a possible, arrogance in me that I've done it. Or even if though the arrogance is not there, I become complacent that there is nothing to do now. Or in case if you do not attain, which is most of the time, this is the case, then obviously so many upheavals are there. We are shaken down to our core. And because we are not able to get, what we cherish, what we want, then alone, grief is there, sorrow is there, stress is there. Stress is not because something is happening. Stress is because I want something different. And I cannot cope up with this change. What the hell? I want this and this, something has happened. I cannot accept that. I want to change. There are moments that you can change, and there are moments when you cannot change. And when you cannot change, and you are not able to accept that, this change is not necessary, then you have had it. And that is the kind of pressure which is built up as a reaction. Even though, every stress has got some positive component also, you are challenged by certain situations and you can go around. building up inner strength and also your mental body strength, so you handle the challenges. But it's not about just building up strength, it's about getting despondent that why this is not happening. Stress is not something which is going to be inevitably there for every person. It's going to be there for anyone who doesn't know the truth. And come to think of it, you are the reality. Everything is a dream, it's changing. It is Dryshanuviddha Shabdanuviddha. Yet, my insistence is there, my apeksha is there that I want this. It doesn't happen. All this endless problem of seeking, they come to an end just because when you wake up to the reality. It's very, very important. It's very fundamental. And therefore one should give one's heart and soul to this knowledge. In case if you have to work for something, this is it. This is what you have to work for. Give everything which you have for this knowledge and you shall be blessed. Your whole life will be fulfilled. So it is all about reversing the effect of Avarana Shakti. And how do we do that? He says, well, we have studied this, that fundamentally there is one reality which is of the nature of Satchidananda. And what the Vikshep Shakti of Maya does is to present this reality, this existence in different forms. So this is all what we need to do. Be conscious of that component which constitutes the material, the real essence of everything, the real truth of everything, which is called the real Atma of everything. The real Atma of everything. Take your time to decide, but finally when you decide, then you will see that everywhere. The fundamental component of everything, the essence of everything is Satchidananda. And that Satchidananda is presented as different forms, as you and me, in this multifarious world, this beautiful world. Salute the creativity of this Vikshep Shakti. Awesome, great, mind-boggling. I wish I keep on seeing the beauty of the world outside. So that is the kind of beauty which has been presented, so many different names and forms. But the lesson I have to learn is that what is the component of form? What is the form? What is a name? These are the things which I have really got to go into very deeply. And once you get the hang of it, it's not there, it's just for the show. When you take up an ornament, so there are two components. One is the gold component. It doesn't change. When you look at the wave, there is one water component, but it doesn't change. And there is this superimposed component of its unique form. Now, can you do this dissection of form and the component? This is the kind of vivek which is required. In your mind itself, mind alone. The capacity to see both these components very, very clearly is what this vivek is all about. See that. Work hard for that. When we are looking at the wave, let us say, when we say the wave is born, the wave is rising, the wave is decaying, and the wave one day it dies. See the fact that nothing is happening to the water. When the wave is rising, then the water is not rising. When the wave is born, the water is not born. When the wave is decaying, nothing is happening to the water. Wave disappears, nothing is disappearing in the water, and nothing substantial. The real component part of it is not affected at all. See, these two things are world apart. Not knowing the difference between these two and getting confused between the form component and the reality component. We take the wave as the ultimate. And when the wave dies, we think everything has died. Everything has gone. Even God takes up a form and he disappears after some time. It doesn't mean that God has died. In case if God is no more, then how is the world running? So it is never there that the God is no more. Even when our beloved ones, our parents, grandparents and other, people whom we know, acquaintances, when they go away from this world, it's just that the form has disappeared. The content has not disappeared. The content is like water, it doesn't disappear. It's very much there. The only problem is that content, is not as perceptible as the form. Whatever my faculties are, my faculties can only be conscious of this form component. And therefore, I don't see the person anymore. Just because you don't see doesn't mean it's not there. Do you see atom? I don't see it, then it's not there. Do you see a spleen, by the way? It's not there, so you are a spleenless fellow. That's quite childish to say that just because I don't see it's not there. So the essence part of everything is very much there. That alone is manifesting as this form. Never ever think that the essence, the fundamental material, the Atma of everything, it never disappears. It's very much there. And that is what manifests as a form again after some time. In case if I insist on forms, it takes up a form, no problem. But real wisdom implies that, form doesn't really matter. You take a form lightly. In ignorance, we take form very, very seriously. My form and your form. Form alone is so important in all the societies of the world. Everywhere it is form which is important. And ultimately form is not important. It doesn't have a reality of its own. I cannot take away water and keep a form in a jar. I cannot take away gold and keep, the ornament separately. It's nothing there. It's only the component part of it. The essence part of it, the Atma part of it, the truth part of it. So he says, in order to do this Vivek, just see everything in the world has got 5 components. Asti, Bhati, Priyam. That is how you see Brahma, Paramatma everywhere. So this beautiful shloka gives us the vision, the wherewithal, how to see God everywhere. You see God as just existence. You see God as life. Wherever life is there, there my God is peeping from there. That is how you see God. It is this consciousness is blessing me, and I'm a living person right now. Why we don't go for non-veg? Because there is a beautiful manifestation of God, and just because, my fascination and my taste, I kill a fellow, kill a manifestation. just to eat it. Even though that is not necessary for a human being. Okay, fine, if it is necessary, those people will be naturally inclined, like carnivorous animals. They'll go, kill, eat. But the human system is not made for that, but not only we are caring about this system, nor we are caring about the fact that it is God which is manifesting. How beautiful a bird is when it is living, and the moment it is dead, it's no more. What a profound difference. See the beauty of a living entity. See the beauty of life. Be a devotee of life. Be a person who is dedicated to life. And wherever you see life, you are seeing that which is the truth. This is the reality, which is the ultimate reality of this whole creation, of every person. All your loved ones, they are fundamentally that essence, that Atma, that life, which is manifesting through a particular equipment. It is not the equipment. Don't hang on to the equipment. It's not very important. These very persons, they'll take up enough form after this life. They'll be completely different individual. In one of the texts, Shankaracharya says that Bharya Bibhyati Tasmin Kaye. See the difference. There's a couple and the man dies. And when the man dies, so they were very intimately connected with each other at all levels. Now when this fellow has died, how long can the lady stick on to the form, to the body? There is a time when the decay has started. She wants to get the last rites done. And there the Acharya says in that slok, really speaking, there is a fear also inside her. Bharya Bibhyati. She's afraid now. Bhoot hai, bhoot. Iska bhoot piche padega. Because no use. The body is of no use. It cannot talk, it cannot see, it cannot interact. It cannot feel, it cannot touch. It cannot do anything. So till the time this consciousness is there, you are a living being. This body with consciousness is Shiva. Without consciousness is Shava. It succumbs. That is the profound, blessing of consciousness. Revere this consciousness. We, for us, what is God? God is the truth. And the truth of life is this consciousness. So look at existence, look at consciousness, look at the inherent bliss. This is it. Start a new chapter in your life where you consciously not only perceive, feel, see this component in everything, but also revere that. Revere that. And at the same time, learn to ignore, make the name and form component secondary. It's not that name and form, they don't have any role, but relatively speaking, this is just not comparable. It's not a fair comparison also to compare the component and the form. So this is the transformation which is required after this knowledge. A shift in our perception, shift in our value, shift in our priorities. That which is really important is the content. Form shall keep on changing. Look at your album. Your form has been continuously changing. Somebody visits you and bring your album. Swamiji, this is me. This is you. No comparison. This tiny tot. This toddler is you. You're a huge fellow now. How can it be you? No, the form keeps on changing, but it is me. Well, you're a very wise man. You're not hanging on to forms, is it? Form is something which keeps on changing. How so much you keep on, trying to keep your form intact, it's going to change. Take some photographs of this day and look at yourself after 5 years. Wrinkles all over. Maybe the teeth are not there, and your spectacles have become big, and maybe there are hearing aids in your ears, and of course the hair have fallen down. Isn't the same fellow? Yes, his form keeps on changing. Even when the form has changed, I am still that. This is the lesson. See very clearly that form is subject to change. It is ephemeral, it's changing, it's perishable. And the bane of our life is that we have been giving too much importance to the form. Form is the center of my existence. Form is my definition. And when I am a form, then everything is different from me. The fragmentation occurs, the division starts. And form is always small, and therefore I'll end up becoming a small fellow. Well, that is what you wanted. That is the inevitable consequence of taking the form as so important. Everybody's form is in a very fine shape, bubbly, enthusiastic, and young at a particular time. It's going to change. And in case you are hanging on to the form, then you had it. So this is the truth. Just live in the truth. That is what is being asked, and we are being enlightened about these facts of life. And in case if you continuously do this exercise, both at the outside level and inside level, Bahi and Anta, both. If you can start from outside, no problem. See the world, sit down quietly in a beautiful place and just see that there is this self-effulgent existence manifesting in different forms. And later on, close your eyes and then see all your thoughts are also consciousness manifesting in different forms. So the whole world, you get to know a different way of looking at the world, whether inside or outside. And that is factual, that is based on time-tested philosophy. The truth of life, which I am appreciating after due deliberations, very intensive investigations. Thereafter we come to these conclusions. So revel in these facts. And he says, in case if you carry on this appreciation, you will effortlessly be there in the Samadhi. Samadhi is a natural consequence of right wisdom. Samadhi and meditation is not something to be done. This is childish. I want to do meditation. What are you going to do? Just quieten your minds. Is mind the culprit? It is ignorance which is the culprit. It is aviveka which is the culprit. Not just any thoughts. Instead of quietening the thoughts, first of all, make your thoughts more sensible, beautiful, thoughtful, intelligent. Very wise thoughts need to be there. What is required is right knowledge, not quieting the thoughts. That is not the right approach. So be blessed with this knowledge. And when you look at yourself and also everything else, that everything is basically one Satchidananda. The seer is Satchidananda. This wave is water and the other wave is also water. Take up this sadhana. O wave, the young wave, the old wave, the fat wave or the lean wave, whatever you are, take up this sadhana. Look at your component. You are basically H2O. And every wave is also just water. Now what is going to happen in case if you continue on this line? Don't say just because somebody is saying, you have to see these facts. You have to see very, very clearly. Once you appreciate that everything is just water, then what is the consequence? What is the culmination of this kind of meditation? You become water, you realize that you are water, you assimilate you are water, your identity becomes that of water. And the moment your identity becomes that of water, can anything really shake you? Everything is happening in you. The whole world of wave is coming, sustaining and going back in you, and nothing is affecting you at all. You become infinite. You become non-dual. The seer is that, the seen is that. The thinker is that, the thought is that. The subject is that, the object is that. And what is an object, by the way? Object is that same component manifested in a particular form. Subject is also that which is conditioned with the notion that I am a thinker. Everything is Satchidananda, everything is life. So when you take up this kind of knowledge, this Viveka, the natural culmination is quietude, infinity, endlessness, timelessness. There is one non-dual reality. So in this way, Samadhim, what was that? Where is that shloka gone? Samadhim sarvada kuryat. Shlok number 22. Hridaye vatavavahi. Either hridaye inside or bahi outside. Inside it is starting from Drg-Dryshya Viveka. Outside it is starting from Brahma Sarga Viveka. So whether you are sitting with yourself, start from this Drg and Drishya. And this is where you need to lead to. That the fundamental component of everything is one reality. And when you look outside also, all the differences, the fragmentation and divisions, they are only from the point of view of form. And now you are seeing through the form. You are looking at the very essence of every form. And when you are looking at the very essence of every form, then from that point of view, there is no fragmentation. There is no division. There is no duality. This is what is called as Sarvatma, Paramatma. When the I is just confined to this body intellect, then it is called Jivatma. And when the self is, pervading everything, then that is what is called as Paramatma. Atma word is common in both of them. Atma means I. I, when it is confined to one manifestation, that is called Jivatma. And when the I is appreciated as all pervasive and embracing everything in the whole cosmos, then you are that. That is also an I. But it is Param. Paramatma. And when you yourself become Paramatma, obviously, it is what is called as the peace that passeth all understanding. Unimaginable peace. It's so near. Yet because of ignorance, it is so far off. What we do is that we continue to remain limited and then want peace. I don't want to change, but I want to experience peace. We are not aware that my limited identity itself is the cause of the absence of peace. And the moment, I change my fundamental understanding about everything, there you are. So Samadhi is that quietude which is not disturbed at all. Natural quietude. It's like being an ocean where no waves can disturb you. Because you are the very substratum of all the waves. You are the very basis of all the waves. So this is what is real meditation. Meditation in Vedanta is not mere quietude. For some time I had no thoughts. And the thoughtlessness was there. Wow, I woke up into meditation. How do I do that? Please teach me meditation. There's no. Meditation cannot be taught to ignorant people. If you remain ignorant, if your fundamental understanding of yourself remains something wrong, it's not correct, so long you cannot really do meditation. Your meditation will be an effort. It will be like, quietening the mind somehow. Fine, in case if you quieten your mind for some time, you are blessed. You feel quietude. But it is more like, going to sleep. Whenever, the thoughts are quiet, it's just like sleep. We go ignorant in sleep and come back also ignorant. And here also I have not gone into the truth of myself and the world. I continue to be an aviveki. Yet I can quieten my thought and come out of my thoughts. This, temporary quietening of thoughts and coming out of thoughts, that is not meditation. That's very childish. And just as everything else in the life, it will be endless. It will be like, appeasing your hunger, and now there is no hunger. I'm so happy, I'm, top of the world. And I have eaten paratha today, and aloo today. Wow, kya baat hai, maza aa gaya. Le lo maza thodi der ke liye. I know you're going to be back on the same track after some time. Swami ji, aaj kya bana rahe hain? Inevitable question. What is the meaning of temporary quietude? Temporary appeasement of my desires and requirements. Temporary quietude in the mind. Isn't it childish? These people, they endlessly keep on doing that. And funny thing, they don't even become conscious of this, cyclic thing which is going on. And of course, there are people in the scientists and the doctors, they say, yes, meditation, it helps. My gadgets, they are showing it is helping you. Go for that sometime. How can I go there for a long time? I've got to come back. In Vedanta, we are being told that which is permanently there. It requires a shift in my understanding. It is the wrong understanding which is the cause of all the, turbulations in the mind, fragmentation in the mind, disturbances in the mind. See that fact. And therefore, in case if you focus on that and correct that, thereafter there is no factor which is responsible for any turbulations. And no disturbance at all. It is my limited petty identity which is cause of all anxieties. Why don't you go into that? Why don't you let that individual dissolve? That individuality has no existence apart from your own mind. You are hanging on to it. Ahankar becomes instrumental to begin with. Later on, it's an imaginary entity in my mind. Just as rope, in the darkness there was a rope. I didn't see the rope. And I thought it was a snake. Now where is that snake? Snake is just in the seer's mind. Just as people say beauty is in the beholder's eyes, so also, snake is in the seer's mind. Individuality may have started because of ahankar, but later on, ahankar subsides. But my mind is corrupted with this individuality. It's in my mind. Jiva is an imaginary entity confined to this body, and now I have hung on to the notion that I am that. And that can only be effaced by realizing the truth of yourself. So therefore, keep on going into this. And then you shall attain quietude, peace, samadhi. Now talking about samadhi, he takes this topic further and gives certain steps in samadhi. These are the various stages of so-called meditation or samadhi. So let us read few shlokas. Savikalpo Nirvikala
Savikalpo Nirvikala
Samadhir Dvidordi
Samadhir Dvidordi
Dryshanuviddha Shabdanuviddha
Dryshanuviddha
Savikalpa Punardvidha Kamadya Chittaga Dryshaha Tatsakshittvena Chetanam Dhyaye Dryshanuviddhoyam Samadhi Savikalpakaha Asanga Satchidananda Swaprabho Dvaita Varjitaha Asmiti Shabdaviddhoyam Samadhi Savikalpakaha Swanubhuti Rasaveshat Drishya Shabdavupekshatu Nirvikalpa Samadhi Syat
स्यात्
Nivata sthita deepavat.
निवात स्थितदीपवत्.
Now samadhi is something, which has to be appreciated very nicely. It is the ultimate kind of meditation. It is the goal of meditation. Even Yoga Shastra, the Ashtanga Yoga, it culminates into samadhi. Yama, niyam, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan and samadhi. Samadhi is the culmination of all yoga. Samadhi is the culmination of all my sadhanas. What is samadhi? Samadhi starts with a duality. The duality where the thinker and the thought, they are different. The experiencer and the object of experience, they are different. And this duality, I start as an experiencer. I want to experience something beautiful, something permanent. Now, throughout our life, we have been experiencing this fact that as long as this duality continues to exist, so long I don't get peace. Anything which you love, you want to be one with that. This endeavor to become one with your cherished object, the desire, the person, the experience, the place, and that is the moment of fulfillment. In short, we may start with duality, but we are aiming at non-duality. The difference shall end, the should end. Our relationships. You love somebody, you like somebody. In case of the fellow is different, you keep on craving. And all my craving shall end only when, there is no difference. There's no distance between the seeker and the sought. The culmination is non-duality. To be one with your beloved. Even in bhakti, you start with devotion. God is different. But in the final stages of devotion, the devotee becomes one with God. There's a beautiful, famous doha. It says, Prema gali ati sakari, jame to na samay. The lane of love is very narrow. Two people cannot coexist there, side by side. Prema gali ati sakari, jame to na samay. And therefore either you have to disappear or the other fellow has to disappear. And the best way is to be one with each other. Thereafter you can tread the lane of love. Then you can go in that lane. That is the secret of going in that lane of love. So devotees also try to become one with their beloved God. The yogis try to become one with their goal, the Ishvara, the Jiva and Ishvara. Entire endeavor of every person in the world is trying to become one with their cherished object. So even in meditation, we may be thinking of something, and thereafter this thinker thought, the experiencer and the object of experience, this duality has to be transcended. You have to go beyond this duality. There is one prevalent thought system where they say you get absorbed in the object of thinking. Suppose if you are thinking of God, in case if the devotee can get absorbed in God, melt in God, be one with God, and that is the fulfillment. So in Yoga Shastra, they say, the one who is the meditator and the object of meditation, there has to be tadatmya of that, you become one with that. Forget about everything else. Forget about your problem, forget about your body, your world outside. For some time, forget everything and just be one with that. You will have a different experience altogether. This slight shift, your absorption takes you to a different, transports to a different world altogether. That is the common meditation. You become one with that. You merge with that. And the moment there is only one, the time stops. You're not aware of time, you're not aware of place, you're not aware of problems. You wake up to a state where there is no problem whatsoever. It's a timeless state. The moment you get absorbed with your beloved, the time stops. And therefore, there are so many songs, they've been sitting together for an hour. This is now time to go. Oh, abhi abhi to aayi ho, abhi abhi jana hai. Bolte abhi abhi kya hai? And so many hours have gone. The time stops when you are with somebody whom you love. And there is no difference between you and your beloved, you and your God, you and your goal. This is the normal, prevalent meditation, but this is not so here. Here they say, well, I can become one, I can get absorbed into that, but that is not real meditation. Why? Because you've got to come back. When you are absorbed in somebody, how long you can remain absorbed? There's always a time limit. Basically because your identity, a separate identity still exists in your mind. I am so and so. And the other fellow also has a different identity. We like to be one, but something stops us to be completely one. We cannot dissolve completely in the love of somebody. And then you have, I also have my self-identity, I also have my self-dignity and whatnot. You try to retain your separate self. Whenever we continue to have a sense of individuality, merger in your anything which you love is never possible completely. You'll continue to stand apart. It is the sense of individuality in my mind which is really speaking the impediment to complete merger, to completely being one. So all those meditation where you temporarily, because of the force of emotion, your willpower, your pranayam or whatever it is, these are very helpful means in the beginning. But you cannot become one for a long time. You will have to come back. So Vedantic masters, they talk something else. He says, well, you are starting from the duality. That you are separate and the other fellow is separate. I raise a question, is it so? Is it really different? What is the basis of this contention that you are different and Ishvara is different? You are starting from this premise that God is different and you are only this, and I am questioning your separateness. I am questioning, the separateness of God. I do not accept this fact. It's only, figment of my imagination. It's untrue. It is imaginary identity. It is not a substantial identity. And therefore, in case if we start our exploration, our investigation in that direction, that what is the truth of my separate, fragmented, petty identity? And it is only when I have taken myself to be this individual that everything has become separate from me. I cannot become one with everybody. It is my individuality which keeps me separate. There is God also who is taking care of me. He's loving me, He's caring me, but I still cannot become one with God also because I am hanging on to one identity in the mind. So in case if you explore your identity, you explore the definition and understanding of God, you appreciate that the truth, the content, the Atma of both is same. Rather than starting from duality and then doing all these exercises, so-called meditation and whatnot, based on duality, which your experience itself will show to you that it's an endless seeking. Just like seeking of the world, of the objects and happiness of the world, and on this meditation, another seeking. Endless seeking. You become one for a few moments and again you're back to square one. Again you are standing apart. Okay, God, we'll meet you next time. I've got to take care of my office and lunch and relatives and children and whatnot. I'll come back to you again, I promise. And again the individual has disappeared. Dawned of that individuality. And again has to carry on with their life. Are you really an individual? Why the hell are you taking up it, dawning this individuality again and again? Is it real? That is the question you need to go. So the Vedantic masters, instead of starting from this premise of duality, that I am separate and you are separate, we prefer to go deep into this imaginary fragmentation, division, and appreciate the fact that the division, the difference is very, very superficial. It is at a very superficial level of Nam and Rupa. Individuality is a consequence of myself giving importance to my Nam and Rupa. And when you give importance to a particular manifestation, then your manifestation and also the manifestation of everyone else, including God, is separate. It has to be separate. So why don't you go into that? Question that. It's keeping you away from real samadhi. And it is baseless. It's wrong. It's denying you all the joys of life. And you think you are smart. You are being stupid rather. Ignorant, deluded. I am hanging on to my individuality. This hanging on to my individuality because of identification with my unique form, manifestation. That is the crux of all problem. So try a different meditation. Appreciate the fact that your individuality is imaginary. It is just brought about because of this consciousness identifying with a particular Nama-Rupa. And this, the product of this unholy, the combination, that is the cause of problem. So let this thing get dissolved in the light of your wisdom. This is the kind of meditation you should try. It's a different meditation. It's not prevalent in the world. This is called as the Vedantic meditation. In Vedantic meditation, the individual does not try to become one with God. In Vedantic meditation, the individual tries to appreciate the cause of this division and appreciates that the cause of this division with Bhagavan is just my hanging on to my manifestation, my form. And I look at God also from that superficial point of view. What a beautiful form, what a beautiful manifestation, what a powerful manifestation. So he's also a unique manifestation, I'm also a unique manifestation. This is the reality where I'm standing. And thereafter I go for handshake. That handshake is my merger with my beloved God. How long you can shake your hand? And when you shake hand with a huge guy, then you will have hell of a problem. The US President Donald Trump is very famous for very strong handshakes. And therefore Modi ji, tried a different strategy. Jappi wala. He goes straight away, embraces the fellow. There's no occasion for any handshake. And when he kept his hand forward, the fellow took the hand and also the chest, like two boxers in the ring. So he embraced that fellow. How long are you going to shake hand with God? He's such a strong fellow, much more stronger than Trump. Huge boxer. In case if he gets hold of your hand, then you are crushed to non-existence. So stop this handshake business. I want to be identified. This I, what is this I? Who are you? Who you want to become one with God? No, I'm I. What is this I? Think about it. That is meditation. Going into the truth of my individuality and discovering that this individuality, which is just something, a figment of imagination in my mind, it's brought about because of this unholy combination of consciousness and name and form. A particular manifestation. Isn't it a fact that your form is so important to you? Isn't it a fact that your name is so important to you? You're hanging on to name and form. Just see the fact. It will drop by itself. You won't even need to drop it deliberately. The moment you see a certain fact very clearly, you have dropped it. See false as false, and thereafter you shall never even have to drop it off. I see the fact that the reflection in the mirror is false. Thereafter, you never bring 2 cups of tea. You only bring 1 cup of tea because you know it's not there. Whenever you see something as false, it has been negated. Negation is to see something as false, unreal. So to the extent you can see that the manifestation of myself as a jiva is just because of that unholy combination brought about by ignorance. Thereafter the individuality is not there. And it is the negation of the individuality which makes you one with everything. Your God is right here and now. Suppose, there is a space inside a pot, which is called, let us say, Ghata-akash. The Akash inside a Ghata. And that fellow wants to become one with the ultimate space. What should it do? Just remove all identifications with the Ghata. The moment you are dissociated yourself from the walls of the pot, you are the infinite space. The space anyway was not different. It was never away. It was just my notion that I am separate. And why I am separate? Because I have identified with the walls of the pot. My identification with the walls of the pot is responsible for my sense of limitation. And the moment I dissociate myself from the all, not a physical, but it's only in the mind. In the mind, my understanding of myself is just space. The moment you realize that you are just space, you are infinite space. Space is always infinite. So that is the direction in which real wise people they go. So there are two stages in meditation. The first stage is called Savikalpa Samadhi. And the second stage is called Nirvikala Samadhi. Both are meditation. What are stages of meditation? There are not two types of meditation, but two stages of meditation. Everybody has to first take up what is called as the Savikalpa Samadhi. In Savikalpa Samadhi, Vikalp means thoughts. Vikalp means some efforts. So there is one kind of Samadhi which is brought about by proper understanding. You require Viveka, you require understanding, you require some wisdom. And the consequence of that wisdom is that you are infinite. It is because of this analysis that name and form, they do not have a substantial separate existence. It's not a real thing. It's an imaginary thing. In one of the Upanishad it is said, Vachar manam vikaro namdeyam mritika ityeva satyam. The names and the forms, they are vachara manam, just for namesake. It doesn't have any reality. Can you keep, the name and form on one side of a weighing scale, on the other side the component? It's namesake, it cannot be kept separately. So just see this fact. Investigate that fact, appreciate that fact, and see the individuality dissolving. It is the dissolution of the individuality which is important, remember, in any meditation. This is the right way to go. If you realize the truth of individuality, that is just made up of identification with the manifestation. And in case if you can do this operation, which is not a physical operation, which is not a physical separation at all, it is just appreciation. It is just Viveka. Consciousness is anyways ever different, untainted. I am never contaminated. I am never limited. See the facts. And use your wisdom, use your intellect, use proper knowledge for this. So you are using knowledge. You are using your wisdom. So the first stage of meditation is not immediate quietude. It's not immediately going into silence and asking everybody in your house to remain quiet because, I'm doing meditation. My meditation does not require, complete. The world should freeze because I'm meditating. It's not required. Don't start from there. Start with the right wisdom that what is this individuality all about? Individuality is a product of avivek. Identification of this Bhranti Janya Tadatmya. It is the Bhranti Janya Tadatmya because of which this Jiva Bhava comes about, the individuality comes about. I become the limited fellow. This is what is important. This is the crux. of dissolving the knot inside. And this knot, you're hanging on to the knot, you're thinking the knot is real and trying to dissolve just by merging temporarily in something or not doing anything. So instead of that, inquire into the truth of individuality. Use your knowledge. The first stage of meditation is Savikalpa Samadhi, along with Vikalpa, along with knowledge, thoughts, understanding. This is something new for the world, who's only been exposed to quietening the thoughts. Today, wherever you go, any package of meditation, they'll immediately take you that now you should become thoughtless. And you become thoughtless, this was meditation. That is not meditation, because it's a very short-lived existence. That peace is so short-lived. Again, you've got to come back. The same problem, the same stresses, the same ego, the same Ashanti, everything will continue. What is so big deal about it? You go into a shell, hibernate into some quietude for some time, again come back and face the same world, this terrible world. Because you are the same individual, you are affected by everything thereafter also. Are you separate? This notion that I am separate, that is the cause of all grief, all the seeking, whether inside or outside. See the truth of individuality. And appreciate the fact that it is just, a figment of imagination, a baseless one, and brought about by your Viveka. And in case if your wisdom can help you dissolve this individuality, let it dissolve. Do Atma Visarjanam. Dissolve the mind. Not the thought, but individuality. We dissolve the thoughts, not the individuality. In case if you can dissolve the individuality, the separate me, the petty me, the small me, the limited me, the perishable me, that is where the real secret and wisdom lies. So the first stage, use your knowledge and wisdom not to just quieten the thought, but use these thoughts itself. And bring about the right wisdom. And then after this very wisdom is going to show you clearly that everything is one and the same reality. You are that, everything is that. Now look at the platform where you are standing. Earlier, what was my platform? That I am separate and God is separate. You continue to be separate. You continue to have your individuality. In case if you continue to have your individuality, nobody questions your individuality. Nobody even talks about your individuality. They are only talking about thoughts. Here it is not the thoughts, but the thinker, the enjoyer, the experiencer. That limited me. Go into that. Not only see this fact that this product is not truly there, it's an imaginary one, but also in the light of your wisdom, let it dissolve. Experience the dissolution of individuality. Experience, not the absence of thought, let the thoughts be there. Any thought which facilitate you in that direction, it's something worthwhile. Very consciously, very intelligently see the truth of individuality with your own intellect. And let the core get dissolved. That is the core. And in case if that individuality disappears, remain conscious of that. Just as today we are conscious of a fragmented world, divisive world, everything is separate. Become conscious of a non-divisive world. Be aware of a non-dual reality. Be aware of an all-pervasive reality. Become like space. You can become conscious of yourself as a space. In you, everything existing. Like space, you cannot be divided. Think about that. You are untainted, unfragmented. Still, they're saying, don't stop the thoughts. We are not opposed to thoughts. All those, who immediately try to quieten the thought, they only take you to a conscious sleep. It's just like going to sleep, You come back after some time, the same fellow. Because the same entity is there, that individuality is there, that ego is there. With all its problem, it's there. Thoughts are not the culprit. It's my avivek which is the culprit. So in this way, start on that line. With your own wisdom, let the jiva bhav get negated. And when it is negated, then there will be a time when you are conscious that I am that. I am that limitless, infinite consciousness. Akhanda mandala akaram vyaptam yena characharam. That which is akhanda, unfragmented, no khanda. Akhanda mandala akaram. Vyaptam yena characharam, that which is pervading and blessing and embracing everything in this whole universe. Vyaptam yena chara achara, moving and moving, living and non-living, everything. I do namaskar, pranam to that teacher, the scriptures, who revealed to me that reality. I need to become conscious of that. So the first stage of meditation is to be conscious of various facts. Number one, conscious of the unreality of the individual. Individuality doesn't have any separate existence. Become conscious of that very intelligently. And thereafter become conscious of the all-pervasive reality. And don't let your consciousness get diluted or distracted by anything else. In case you do, again, slowly come back on the same track. It will keep on happening. Forgetting once in a while is not so much of a problem. But not coming back again to it is a problem. Forgetting, it doesn't matter. Too much of my memory load is there, it takes me away once in a while. Alright, doesn't matter. Again come back on this track. Again become conscious of this. And just like anything else also, if you really, are after something with your heart and soul, it becomes your own. This awareness of a non-dual reality pervading everything over here, it becomes very clear to you. You are that. You can dare to say that Aham Brahmasmi, I am that. I am the infinite consciousness. Why not? Why do you need to continuously say you are a petty fellow? your knowledge and wisdom in that direction. And once you attain this Savikalpa Samadhi, quietude brought about by deliberate understanding, that is called Savikalpa Samadhi. As though becoming one with the God, all by deliberate conscious understanding. You are not an individual, you are that infinite consciousness. That is the nature of this Samadhi, Savikalpa Samadhi. And you keep on reveling in that, thereafter there will be a time that you don't have to think about it. After some time, when this knowledge becomes so clear and so evident, that you don't have to think about it. You will revel in that infinitude, that anantata, without effort. You will revel in that non-duality without any effort. Till the time effort is not required, continue the effort. And it is not really effort, it is just being conscious of a fact. So continue to be conscious of a fact till the time this is very, very effortlessly evident all the time. There was a time, when our school days, childhood days, we used to remember the multiplication tables. Multiplication of 2 and 3 and 4. Used to cram them up. And later on, in the early morning, I used to do this right from the childhood, Morning, first thing I do, used to do it to the 4. What am I doing, This is my habit right from childhood. Do you really have to do that? There is a time when knowledge is assimilated, thereafter it's not required. So assimilated knowledge becomes effortless knowledge. And thereafter there is effortless abidance. But it is brought about by, very clear wisdom and knowledge. Very intense wisdom. So there, that particular stage where without effort you can revel in this reality, that is called as Nirvikala Samadhi. So first stage is Savikalpa Samadhi. Second stage is Nirvikala Samadhi. And the important part is the Savikalpa Samadhi. Because in Savikalpa Samadhi only the real operation happens. The dissolution of the individuality and being conscious of the truth all over. This is what happens in the Savikalpa Samadhi. And when this thing becomes effortless, then that is Nirvikala Samadhi. So Savikalpa Samadhi is the most important thing. So he says, Savikalpa Nirvikalpa Samadhi Dvido. These are these two stages of Samadhi. Harati Drg-Dryshya Viveka Savikalpa Punardvidha. Savikalpa Samadhi is very important. He says, let us take the example of Savikalpa Samadhi process when you are inside yourself. So two levels, Antar and Bahi. Inside Drg-Dryshya and outside Brahma Savikalpa. So let us take this, Savikalpa Samadhi when it is inside, when you are sitting with yourself, and there is the thinker and the thought. At this level, you need to practice Savikalpa Samadhi, and I would prefer to divide this Savikalpa Samadhi subsequently to 2 more stages, so as to make it easy. In this entire Savikalpa Samadhi, you need to put conscious, intelligent efforts for proper appreciation of the truth so that, this ghost-like entity, the jiva, imaginary entity in my mind, the entire treatment and operation is to dissolve this fellow. If this individuality is not negated, not dissolved, then you continue to have the cancerous node inside. So this is the cancerous node. Many people have cancer. He says, no, all other nodes have disappeared. One node is remaining. That one node is enough. Again, the whole tree comes about from one node. So individuality is that cancerous node. In case if you are not touching this node and then keep on treating yourself, then you'll keep on suffering. Remember, if you can risk some experiment, keep on risking. Try it out. Don't touch this and then keep on doing everything. And in case if you're wise enough to appreciate the real, you diagnose the real problem, that is the individuality. You are not individual, you are infinite life. You are Brahma. You are non-dual infinite reality, the substratum of the whole creation. That is your truth, that is my truth. But today we are hanging on this body. Let this thing dissolve. Use all the wisdom at your command. This is the fellow which has to dissolve. And once this has dissolved, then effortlessly you can remain that. That is Nirvikalpa. In the Savikalpa, there are two stages again, let us say. The first is merely Drg-Dryshya. Practice Drg-Dryshya Viveka. And when you, make this Drg-Dryshya Viveka very clear, very effortless, then after, Drg and Drishya both are separate. I have just separated the two. Seer is different, seen is different. This is Sakshi and this is Saksha. This is the thinker, this is the thought. First stage, just separate these two fellows and remain conscious of the fact that seer is different from the seen. And enjoy being a seer. If you attain this capacity that you can stand apart, I can assure you most of the problems won't be there in life. Just as in the movie also. Any particular scene, in case if you can detach and just remember, oh, I am sitting in the auditorium, it's not for me. These problems have got nothing to do with me at all. I am a seer. This awareness of myself as a seer takes away all the problems of the scene. So be blessed by this first stage where you just practice Drg-Dryshya Viveka. Having polished this Viveka, having made this capacity very clear and beautiful, effortless, thereafter, in this Savikalpa Samadhi itself, there is the second stage. And what is that second stage? Second stage is to go deeper into the truth of seer, the Sakshi. Using the various pointers given out by the wise people, he says, well, just see this Sakshi, it's always there, it's revealing everything, and therefore it's of the nature of consciousness. It doesn't change, it is changeless. Now on this thing, we have been blessed by the wisdom of some people. and we get insights into the Sakshi. Using various lakshanas, the pointers of the scriptures, we have a deeper appreciation of the Sakshi. Sakshi is untainted, it doesn't touch anything. It remains nirmal. It never gets dirty. Whether the sun is, illumining a beautiful flower or it is illumining a gutter, a dirty place, does the sun become dirty? So also the Sakshi which is illumining this and that, it remains untouched. So this is using the various pointers given out by the scriptures and the masters to get a deeper insight into the truth of Sakshi. So these are the two stages. And there is a name for these two stages. The first stage, wherein we just practice Drg-Dryshya Viveka, is called Dryshanuviddha Savikalpa Samadhi. Dryshanuviddha, that which is based on Drg-Dryshya Viveka, it's called Dryshanuviddha. Starting by appreciating that everything is Drishya and I am the Drishta. Let's focus on this, practice this. Make it clear, make it effortless. And once you are sure that you are conscious of this fact all the time, let there be any situation in life. After all, you are a Drishta. And nothing is touching, no seen is touching the seer. So assimilate this knowledge. And once you can see the Drishta, you can be conscious that you are the Drishta all the time. And therefore you can remain balanced, unaffected by any situation. Now your priorities are not the situations outside. Your priority is just this wisdom, this knowledge. Once this has been attained, thereafter, use the various pointers revealed by the scriptures and get a better insight into the truth of Sakshi. Sakshi is not an object, and therefore I'll have to use some words, some scriptural pointers. Wisdom of the masters to get a deeper insight into the Sakshi. So that is called as Shabdanuviddha Savikalpa Samadhi. First is Dryshanuviddha and second is Shabdanuviddha. Shabdanuviddha means that when you take off with the help of some words, some pointers, and thus get a deeper insight about yourself. Using both these stages of Savikalpa Samadhi, practice both these. Here alone my real effort in Purushartha is required. And once you polish both these properly, and thereafter you are always conscious that you are the timeless, transcendental, non-dual, infinite consciousness, and everything is a domain of change, different manifestations coming and going. Nirvikalpa will be an effortless prasada of this Purushartha. Nirvikalpa is got effortlessly. Savikalpa is got because of some deliberate, intelligent efforts. And Nirvikalpa Samadhi, which has been brought about because of proper Savikalpa Samadhi, it is never disturbed thereafter. It's not like old times when you go into meditation and come back, to face the same world. And get grieved by various situations again and again. So this is not that times now. So that it culminates into Nirvikala Samadhi, effortless abidance in this knowledge. That is Samadhi. Now both are Samadhi. While thinking also, you are that space-like reality, consciousness, and now in Nirvikala, all what has happened is the same knowledge has become effortless now. Just as you practice this inside, so also you have to practice the same stages outside. So in effect, there are 3 stages, 2 components of Savikalpa and culminating into Nirvikalpa. Inside you start with Drg-Dryshya Viveka, then after go deeper into the Sakshi, and thereafter knowing the truth of both these, abide in the truth, assimilate the truth, have a rebirth. This is having a rebirth where there shall be no transmigration hereafter. Because you are the infinite is not born again. In case if you die remaining a limited fellow, you are going to have another cycle of the same life. Another small body, another childhood, another growing, another, getting related, getting married and getting a job and getting this and the same life. The life of a limited individual is the same cyclic one. You'll have to go round and round this whole thing again and again. But in case if you realize yourself to be the infinite, there is no transmigration. There is no coming and going. So in this way, this is the overview of these Samadhi. Now we can just see the shlokas which are just revealing this meaning. In the 23rd it was said that broadly speaking, Savikalpa Nirvikala. Samadhi Duvido, the 2 stages broadly speaking. And Savikalpa Punaha Dvidaha. In the Savikalpa, there are again 2 stages. First is that you start with the seen and then after turn towards the seer and go deeper into the secret of seer using some pointers and thus culminating into Nirvikalpa. In the 24th, he is giving us an example of Dryshanuviddha Savikalpa Samadhi. He says, let us take this for an example, that you are doing this meditation, what do you do? He says, Kamadhyaha Chittaga Drishyaha Tat Sakshittvena Chetana. You are observing your mind. Let there be any thoughts, don't be bothered about it. It is when we get bothered about the thoughts that, thoughts start bothering me. I am getting bothered, the objects are not getting bothered. And once you are bothered, then you are bothered anyway. You're getting affected by them. So the first stage of sadhana is don't get bothered about any thoughts in your mind. Kamadhya, let there be kam, krodha, lobha, moha, anything. The problem with kamadhya, the thoughts like kam and krodha, you get swept away. And therefore, having better thoughts, makes your the exercise easy. Even though, we have the tendency to be swept away, whether good or bad. Anything too good, I become Mugeri Lal, Hazin Sapne. I'm swept away in that. In case of bad memories, they raise their heads. Terrible. Of course, I have to take care of that rascal who has come about in my mind, the memories of that fellow. Some bad thing, some past memories. It could be anything. So we have this tendency, the propensity to be swept away by various emotions and thoughts. The nature of this meditation is don't get swept away. Be objective. This is the time that I have to just stand apart. I am a Sakshi and this is a scene, this is Drishya. Kamadhya chittaga drishya tat sakshatvena chetanam. I am the Sakshi and these various thoughts are Drishya. Dhyaye Dryshanuviddha Samadhi Savikalpa. Once you have attained the first stage, if you can stand apart, then you have crossed a very big ghat. And you are nearer to that beautiful pilgrim center, the divinity. Just this much, polish this much. Take your time to do this much sadhana. Always stand apart. For some time. Because it's a fact, I will own up this reality soon. And once you can always, be conscious that you are a Sakshi. Just see the fact. You are not changing the world. World, you should leave it to God. Be so sure that God has created the world, He is managing the world, He is going to take care of the world. For all such people, they should not get bothered about the world. Believe in God. Let Him take care of everything. The one who has brought everything, who is managing everything, alone can take care of everything. Belief in God helps us to become Sakshi very nicely. I can stand apart. In case if you really believe in the driver who is driving your car, you have all the luxury of window shopping. Highs and buys, hello, how are you? And that fellow is, all concentration that I have to take care of all the vehicles. And it's not only all the vehicles. All the cows and dogs who can, after all, this is a free world. They can come in the front of my car anytime. A person who can drive his car in Indore, he can drive in any part of the world. It's completely free world. Free for all. So the driver is very busy, but I believe the driver. And I can look at various shops and the deals and all the cuts are happening and highs and buys, of course. I believe in God, so therefore I am at peace. I don't bother too much because I know everything is going to turn out to be fine. Wherever necessary, I'll give some guidance, but really speaking, I'm unburdened. I'm not bothered at all. And the world is going nicely. To the extent you leave everything in the hands of God, you can more easily become a Sakshi. And once you, make this a Siddha, you attain this capacity, very nice capacity. Thereafter, the second stage of Savikalpa, which was Shabdanuviddha. Shabdanuviddha Savikalpa Samadhi. In that, go deeper into the truth of Sakshi by using certain pointers revealed by the scriptures. You don't have any other option because Sakshi is not something which can be objectified. After this first stage, I have no other resort except the scriptures. Vedanta Ashram. These scriptural statements alone are the revelatory ones. They reveal the insight of the truth of Sakshi. He says, I'll again give you some example for that. In the 25th shloka, he says, Asanga Satchidananda Swaprabha Dvaita Varjita. So these are the statements, the words from Upanishads, scriptures, Vedantic scriptures. They say you are of the nature of consciousness. You are self-effulgent, you are self-revealing. You are untouched, asangaha. Look at this fact, meditate on this fact. The Sakshi remains untouched. Sakshi remains effulgent all the time. Sakshi is of the nature of Sat, Chit and Ananda. From Sakshi point of view, there is no duality. Dvaita Varjita. Not only see these facts, but also realize, Asmi, I am that. Earlier I was an individual, now I appreciate that I am the Sakshi. I am that Sakshi which is of the nature of consciousness, ever effulgent, ever revealing, ever existing, non-dual, infinite. See the fact very, very closely. This is where you get a new birth, a new identity. Transform from a limited identity to such a magnanimous one. You are that. The knowledge continues, the wisdom continues, the awareness continues. I am in no hurry to stop my thoughts. I am in no hurry to stop my efforts. It is this wise effort which helps us to get rid of the problem. Like any disease, you cannot stop all medicines to efface disease. You have to have right medicines. So also just stopping the thinking doesn't help. You got to have the right knowledge. Then the problem is disappeared. So this is what is called as Shabdanuviddha Savikalpa Samadhi. And where does it culminate to? Nirvikala, effortless abidance. Wherein you don't have to put any effort to be that. Swanubhuti Rasavesha, the 26th shloka thus concludes this section of the Antar Samadhi. So he says, when you are reveling in that, it's a new identity, magnanimous. It's an overwhelming experience. It's such a blissful thing. When we get promoted from one stage to another, we are on top of the world. Here you are getting promoted to, the very substratum of the creation. From you alone, everything is arising. So if you see the significance of this, then there will be profound bliss, joy in this knowledge itself. I am that. And because of this, when you start enjoying this, after conscious effort, when you start enjoying, reveling in this knowledge, then the final stage happens. The Nirvikalpa happens only when the Savikalpa is a matter of great joy. Swanubhuti. Swanubhuti means direct experience of your blissful nature, complete nature. Rasavesha, there is an avesh, you're overwhelmed by the joy, the bliss of your fullness. Drishya Shabdanuviddha, and the other two are not required now. The initial stages, you have passed through that. Nirvikalpa Samadhi Syat. This is what is the effortless abidance in the self. And he says, I remember example. It is comparable to a lamp in a place where there is no strong winds, no flowing winds. Like in the old times, in the old houses, we used to have, a deeper sun. Inside the wall there was a hole, and there, one lamp was lit. And no wind, the flow of wind never used to affect that lamp. And you could see the flame so steady, as though it's a solid structure. You can hang on, hold it on with your hands. Flame is by itself a flickery thing. It dances in the winds. But there you have such a steady flame, as though it is a solid structure. He says, in this Nirvikalpa Samadhi, your wisdom is as steady as that flame. The wisdom is effortlessly there. The wisdom that I am that. And this consciousness alone is the reality. This is the nature of wisdom. Thus, starting at the level of Drg-Dryshya, you land up that this alone is the reality. The Drishya has been negated. Initially, Drg and Drishya, two realities are there. As you progress further, the Drishya, as though melts off. It's unreal. And your focus is only on the Sakshi. Sakshi, you start going deeper into the truth of Sakshi and realize it to be the infinite Brahma, Paramatma. And you are that. What else you have to do? Experience the bliss of being one with God. Really speaking, it is not being one with God. Come to think of it. Individuality is dissolved, so individuality is not one with God. Individuality is no more. It's only God alone is, and I am that. This is the nature of experience of such people. So this is where the whole story culminates. And he says, now I shall take you on that journey even outside. And this was Antar Vivek. Now we will try the same thing outside. Meditation with opened eyes. This was meditation with closed eyes. And the last section of this text is meditation with open eyes. And of course, thereafter, revealing certain indications, pointers and lakshanas of a Jivan Mukta. Once a person has become really free, what does the person look like? How is that person who has, removed all bondages, all ignorance, all moha? So these are the two final sections of this beautiful text, which we shall complete tomorrow. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Hari Om.